Hello, I'm the Deer Runner. In this analysis video, I will analyze the numerous strange things that happened in the FNAF 4 bedroom during the fight between you and the animatronics, showing that they are all related. The differences reveal what it is, what's its objective, what does it specifically target, the location of it, and how do you use it to help you defend yourself. First, I'll analyze many signs of the flashlight to determine there was something besides you and the animatronics located in this room. In a bedroom, it looks like you're holding a flashlight, but during the death scenes, the light angle conflicts with this ideal. Besides Nightmare Freddy, the camera shakes and many animatronics have their arms outstretched, look like they're shaking you, but the flashlight beam in every death scene remains completely still, which is impossible if you're the person holding the flashlight being violently shaken, but also in the middle of the room when your animatronic is at or above your eye level. When you're being attacked, the shadow of the animatronics is always at a height lower than the animatronics. That could only happen if the flashlight is shining down on them from a height that is higher than them. Usually people don't carry the flashlight above their eye level. Your arm has to be outstretched to hold the flashlight above your head. That position, you can't extend your arm enough to hold the flashlight steady as you're being violently shaken by the animatronics. Since you can't be holding the flashlight, something else is, and you don't see it, and it's always a light is facing where you're looking, so it's something that's following you, behind you the whole time, holding the flashlight. The flashlight is effective at making the animatronics retreat, and you can tell it to turn on the light. So, whatever this is, it is working together with you to fend off the animatronics. Now I will tie another action you seem to be doing to what's holding the flashlight. When you're fighting Foxy at the closet door using a flashlight on Foxy, as it reaches its head out biting at you, it suddenly goes into a still pose. Closing the door on Foxy makes the animatronics go into exactly the same still pose from the same biting roaring state the flashlight affects. So it shows an effect, but also like the flashlight, you never actually see yourself close the door. Both shining the light on the animatronics or having an animatronic on the other side of a closed door makes them try to retreat from anywhere you can see, unless a position to attack you before the effect makes them retreat take effect. There are a lot of similarities, but there are visual barriers and different escape routes that could have led to a significant changes in potential same objectives. So I will now look over all the time the flashlight and closing the door happened to see if there's some objective was there, or therefore from that thing behind your character because it's holding the flashlight. To answer the question on the same objective, first we'll start with one of the areas they both are used on that has the most variety. When you're finding Foxy at the closet door position, Foxy is changed in a certain order from Foxy Roar to a still position that they both share, and then a crouching threatening position, then to a standing position, then to an adorable plush toy, and then an empty closet. The monster to plush toy state clearly has that everything scary about Foxy was removed, but Foxy remained there, so clear fear removal. Still face is less scary than a roaring biting head, crouching threateningly less scary than the dangerous jaws that outstretched at you. Normal standing state is less scary than the crouching threateningly state. A plush toy is less scary than the monster Foxy, and an empty closet is the least scary. This objective here is very strong here, and when looking at all others to see if it's a fear removal, though many positions can have different reasons, the other examples may objectives to give you a way to significantly fight back and be able to reasonably strategize to win. That is a lot less scary than not having any chance, which would have been the case without the flashlight and closing the door's unusual effects against your enemies. With the removal of fear system spotted, it now brings to the point that many things in this game take the scariest possible form they can take, even if the form has elements or entirely doesn't make sense. That most noticeably one is the animatronics looks like demons and monsters. These animatronics getting possessed never actually led to the changes in the physical form, so nothing accounts for them looking like demons. But I couldn't think of anything you can add to make it more scary. Also, when they're standing right next to you in the hallways, you can hear them breathing, even so they're robots that can't breathe. The monsters breathing in the dark is a lot scarier than a quiet monster in the dark. While I identified a removal of fear system, that's probably had something to do with it. The next example would be the electricity being the scariest possible form, which is off. There were examples that the creators of the game looked like they intended the electricity to be on. At the end of each night, the clock that goes off, it is a distinct electrical clock sound, so loud that it must originate in the room that you're in, but the alarm in the room is off. Up to this point in the series, there was always like a light above your head and an on fan. It was like a tradition, but this time they were both off. A light on in your room would still prevent you from getting to the lights in the hallways. You still have to search for threats hidden in the closet and turn around to deal with the threats on the bed. If the lights are on, the flashlight can still be used, and you'd still have to defend each route in about the same way. But still, choose to just turn everything off. But everything dark would have been a lot more scarier. The last one, if you're not holding the door shut, it will swing open to a certain amount, which is just enough for the animatronics to be able to detect that you're inside and potentially watch you, while you're unable to tell if they're there, which is perfect for the fear of being watched. When I tried to see if the fear remover and adder affected everything, I decided that the furniture and design of the house wasn't affected. Even so the design of this room would be considered peaceful, the people who were scared in this horror story found themselves in a place designed for children like the room you're in. But when it was the limited lighting with a lot of shadows, just like the room you're in, it became a nightmare for them as the haunted animatronics attacked in the dark conditions. This condition is what is considered scary in the series, but the changing of the room like they changed the animatronics could make it even more scary. So it's not in the scariest or least scariest form. The non-scary things were positioned in a way that do not get in any way between you and the animatronics battle. For the things that are affected makes changes to this. Fighting in the dark because of electricity off, which when the battle ends, the clock turns on because the battle's over. The door swings open and not locks is the scariest part. The visual design is ignored because only the function of the door matters. You only hear animatronics breathing when you're in the most dangerous position right next to them, when they're ready to attack. It's useful and you needed information, but hearing it at any other position would have gotten you useful information, but it wouldn't be in the scariest form. The animatronics are the reason the battles are happening and are completely affected at all times, so fear remover and adder only affects things related to battle. By looking at the way the fear adder and the fear remover works, the fear adder applies to everything that is related to battle, while this thing behind you is able to apply a fear removal to whatever the fear adder has applied fear to. This brings a major point about the strategy to this game, that the fear remover can only affect things that were affected by the fear adder and everything else has complete immunities. Since the things that are in your bedroom that is not affected have a normal form and complete immunities, could the animatronics also have a normal form that would not be affected by the fear remover? So the fear adder was applied to them so that the fear remover can turn them into a completely safe form which is not attacking you, instead of a normal form which there is nothing you can do to stop them from getting you. The third and only other action your character does, moving a large amount, I determined is related, but the view of the things happening is blocked and its effects are not obvious. So I had to reveal a large amount of things about the fear adder and remover before I could tie the moving action to it. The objective of the movement is to get you to potentially strategic positions so that you can fight back, which the other two fear removal also completely focuses on fighting back possible animatronic attack positions. You never actually see your legs move you, like you never see your hands hold the flashlight or close the door. There was a strange movement in which when you run across the room, you lean over, putting the front of your face to the ground as you move. This action reacts to the animatronic presence. As you normally turn around, you seem to just turn normally, but when an animatronic is there, once you're facing them being attacked, your view comes from a down position to an up position, which would have been from your face to the close to the ground position. So whenever possible, this head movement is attached to the beginning of the last stand flashlight beam attack on the animatronic. That has gotten you. Even though you don't see any sign you're about to be attacked, you get into position before the first sign. When you're performing any one of these three fear removal actions, only one is active at a time. Before one of them activates, the other two are completely stopped before the one activates. The other two stay off until you stop performing the fear removal action. When you're not using any of the three fear removal actions, your character is literally standing in the dark doing nothing, waiting for the death to come. But still, with how much is known about what it does, what it is has not been answered yet. I believe I found a very convincing answer for this when I analyzed movement of the head while moving. The movement of the head is a part of the brain called the frontal lobe, be the closest part of the brain to the ground. This area of the brain has a very specific function. When I analyzed what the frontal lobe does, a massive amount of similarities to the fear remover and adder was found. That when the frontal lobe had been removed, people, they reported in dreams they couldn't imagine anything scary. More specifically, the scary things were there, but all scariness factors were removed. That has been shown to be the most likely objective of the fear remover, redeeming the plush sword Foxy, having all scariness factors removed, while it still remains there, and the other examples giving you an effective way to fight back, making it less scary, were described by the frontal lobe removal. Since removing frontal lobe removes all fear, the frontal lobe is a source of imagining anything scary. If the frontal lobe is allowed to produce scary things without the rest of the brain's input, it would make things into the scariest form imaginable, which is exactly what the fear adder does, but in this case only battle-related things. So the frontal lobe and the rest of the brain separated produces mental effects that are very similar to what the fear adder remover does. But there is another effect from the frontal lobe move that you actually can't feel fear. The character you're playing as, though, does a head movement. As you being the player in this horror game, your fear would translate to that in-game character's motivation to survive. Luckily, the fear remover has been shown to be something that is located behind you by not seeing what does the fear remover action and a flashlight being held by someone behind you with many indications of someone there wouldn't. A person who had the frontal lobe removed would be able to take complex orders and completely focus on anything related to battle, like the fear adder remover only focuses on battle-related things. This matched extremely well, and fortunately there is a person in the story that had the frontal lobe torn out by an animatronic bite. The rest of the brain didn't have any reported damage. This person is known as a Bite of 87 victim. The only direct information you get on this person is someone got attacked by an animatronic and survived the attack, but suffered a head injury and ripped out the frontal lobe part of the brain by a bite. With all the things it's doing, it's very unlikely this person is still alive at this point in the story, and the attack took place in 1987. But now this person has just turned up in this bedroom as a person standing behind you. When your character is given a command to the Bite of 87 victim, there was no sound, so that means that the communication is probably some type of physical movement. Movement fear removal is the only one that has a notable physical movement, but the movement of the putting the head in such a way to the ground, if the Bite of 87 victim did it, this person would have the fear removal generator, which would be the remaining part of the brain, directly touch the ground because there was a large hole in his head from the bite. That strongly indicates that could be a required step to perform the movement fear removal, which could be signaling it to do. Even if the Bite of 87 victim recognizes your order immediately, it has to have a large part of its brain move in position for it to perform the action, which would take time. The light starting and flashlight activating as you get back to normal position would make sense if this was a physical movement order from you, which is seen since only the Bite of 87 victim matters. I do not believe there's any more relevant information on things I focus on in this video, so I'll end my video here. My first analysis video I did go into detail on who I think your character you play is. This video is called a plush-wrap memory representation theory. In that video, it shows the reasons for the normal forms of everything in a bedroom, while this video shows why the normal forms would change into scary or non-scary forms. I suggest you check it out, but this person influenced a lot more than just a bedroom, and I go into everything I think this person affects and reasons behind them. I hope you enjoyed this video and the other video. This has been the Deer Runner, the Runner of Deer. Thanks for watching.